All right, everybody, welcome to the Colonial Influences graphic organizer instructions. So all of us, we have our Colonial Influences graphic organizer. What we're going to do is we're going to complete the graphic organizer as we read the Colonial Influences text in the folder. So all of us, we know that we have access to the Colonial Influences folder, and we're going to have to read and then complete the graphic organizer. So let's work on the first one together. I'm going to read the first paragraph just because it's there, but then we're going to be getting into the major documents found in that particular reading. Hey, anyone have any good ideas? Our founding fathers did not invent the American system of government out of thin air. Like the other colonists, they were influenced by many different ideas and traditions. The biggest influence came from their British heritage. Remember, the colonists were British until the American Revolution. Events in British history and things that were happening during their own time affected the way the founders thought government should work. The founders did not have the internet. What? So they got their ideas from books and other printed materials. What would have been on the minds of American colonists on the verge of a revolution? Let's take a peek at what might have been on the shelf of a private colonial library. So the very first document that we're going to take a look at, which is what I'm going to model for you in just a few moments, is the Magna Carta. So as you follow along with me, you're going to want to fill in what I am modeling for you. King versus nobles, round one. Way back in the Middle Ages, England was ruled by a king who shared some of his powers with the wealthy nobility. The wealthy nobility, that's the upper class people who were in charge. The nobility would carry out the king's wishes, and the king would allow the nobles to make some local decisions. But in the early 1200s, King John tried to take all of the power for himself. The angry nobles fought back. In 1215, they created a document called the Magna Carta that limited the power of the king and protected certain rights for the nobles. The nobility was powerful enough to force King John to sign the Magna Carta. This was a big deal because it introduced the concepts of limited government, rule of law, and due process. It also helped create the nation's parliament, kind of like the Congress in the United States. That's the group of people who are lawmakers. So we see over here, it says Magna Carta. We the nobles, what did they demand when they forced King John to sign that particular document? There was a limit on the king's powers, laws and the punishments to be fair and equal, due process of the law in fair trials, and lastly, property rights. Now that we've read that particular text, we're going to fill out the graphic organizer. So let me pull that up. You can see I have a lot of stuff on my page. All right, let's pull it up over here. So we want to answer the first question. When was the Magna Carta written? We see over there from our reading, it was written in the year 1215. So let's make sure we fill that in. Who wrote it? Wealthy nobles, those are the upper class people from England, were the ones who wrote it, and they forced King John to sign it. So what is this? Is it a government document, agreement between individuals, collection of newspaper articles, and pamphlet? Overall, it's a government document. It was signed between the people. If we really wanted to, we possibly could highlight the agreement between individuals as well. So now, what was the purpose of the document? The purpose of the Magna Carta was to limit the power of the king and protect the rights of the wealthy nobles in England. It wasn't the rights of everybody. It was the rights of just the wealthy nobles in England. We haven't gotten to the point where all rights are going to be protected. Here, it's just the wealthy nobles, the wealthy upper class. So what are some of the big ideas found in the document? So some of the big ideas that they talk about are limited government. There was a limit on how much power the king or the ruler could have. That's a big thing. how much power they have? Well, there's a limit now on how much power. Rule of law. That idea was really stressed in the Magna Carta. Laws and punishments are meant to be fair and equal for everyone. No one, not even government leaders, are above the law. So it doesn't matter, as we had mentioned before, if you're the king, you're still expected to follow the rules of the particular country. And lastly, due process. Everyone is meant to get fair treatment under the law. So everyone is meant to get fair treatment under the law. And also, it does talk about the idea of property rights, making sure that the rights of people's properties are protected as well. But we did not include that on there because there's some big three important ones that are on there already. So, all right, everybody. At this point in time, we've filled out the first one together. Now you want to get started on filling out the remaining ones of Mayflower Compact, English Bill of Rights, Cato's Letters, and lastly, Common Sense. Everybody, have a good day. If you have any questions, let me or your teacher know. Have a good day, everybody.